which posture am I? It is important to point out that I am not chasing your symptoms, and neither should you. As you go along in this course, you'll notice the routines are not based on the type of pain you're experiencing, but rather the position your body is displaying, hence your posture. The biggest educational point I want to make is linking your symptom to the posture that is causing it. It is your position, not the condition, that we will go after. This is the human design blueprint. With perfect musculoskeletal development and patterning, this is how our postural alignment should look. But hey, life happens, so we're not perfect. Is this perfect alignment? Of course you see something wrong. You wouldn't wonder why your car's tires wear out prematurely if you drove it like this. There is a structural design it must adhere to in order to operate at full potential. And from the postural perspective, so must we. The closer we can get to demonstrating this alignment, the more function we have restored in our musculoskeletal system. Keep him in the back of your mind. I'll refer to this photo in future videos. There are 3 general deviations I often see as a postural therapist. In this course, I will teach you about them and how to determine your posture so you can choose the appropriate sequence. We'll be using your photographs to determine this, but for now, let me introduce you to the postures themselves. Posture A, the anterior tilt. People leading active lifestyles often display this posture, and it's denoted by an anterior pelvic tilt. The anterior tilt is a forward tipping of the pelvis, causing the low back to arch excessively, and it's usually accompanied with rounded shoulders, outward rotated knees, and everted feet. Ambitious personalities who are focused on gathering facts tend to display this posture. Here are a few more examples of people displaying a dominant posture A. Remember what to look for? Can you see how this posture might create low back pain, knee pain, or even shoulder pain? Posture B, the imbalance. This is a more prevalent posture nowadays. It is denoted by an imbalance from left to right, usually accompanied with a rotation. There can be a hip or a shoulder elevation, one arm or leg coming further forward than the other. Can you see how one-sided symptoms may be more prevalent in this posture? Skeptical personalities, like those who want a solution but also doubt that there is one, tend to display this posture. Here are a few more examples of people displaying a dominant posture B. Do you remember what to look for? Posture C, the C curve. A sedentary lifestyle can create a posture like this. It is denoted by the posterior pelvic tilt. A posterior tilt is a backward tipping of the pelvis, and it's often accompanied by the C-curved spine, rounded shoulders, and everted feet. Pessimistic personalities who tend towards the victim mentality often display this posture. Here are a few more examples of people displaying a dominant posture C. Do you remember what to look for? Can you see how hip, back, and shoulder symptoms might be experienced with this position? After covering these 3 generalized postures, you might be thinking that you're a mix between posture B and one of the other postures. And you're most likely right. Nowadays, I see more imbalanced postures than I do a strict A or a strict C. But what I want you to focus on is what stands out the most in your posture. That is where your photos are handy. But wait, don't jump into taking your photos yet. Let's sharpen your postural assessment skills by looking at some more postures. Forgive me, most of the photos are frontal shots because I'm limited to what content I can use. But their value as tools for education is immense. I'll even add lines to help you see what I see. I'll drop a center line right between the heels, a pelvic line horizontally below the waist, a shoulder line, and sometimes leg lines at the hip joint. Remember, Keep the human design blueprint in the back of your mind. I even encourage you to pause the video before I verbally point out what I see. Can you spot the misalignments? What stands out? You might notice his feet point out, his knees point out, and that you're looking at the back of one of his hands more than the other. Let's add some lines. What posture would he be? Now you can see how differently his weight is loaded from one leg to the other. Even one of his hips looks higher than the other. If we had some photos of his side, I would bet we would see his right shoulder coming more forward than his left. I would also bet that he had a pretty flat low back with a posterior pelvic tilt. A posture B or C routine would work out well for him. It's all in the photos. What stands out? I'm sorry he happens to be posing, but that won't hide his postural discrepancy from us. What posture would he be? You might notice his feet point out, his knees point out, and even though his hands are on his hips, I bet his shoulders round forward because of the posterior pelvic tilt that he displays, which would be visible from the side. A flat low back is usually accompanied by the dreaded flat butt syndrome. Let's see what he looks like with the lines. A posture C routine would work out nicely here. What stands out? Her feet might look fairly straight, but what about her knees? Where should they be? Look at the height and placement of her hands. I bet from the side view, she presents with her left shoulder more forward, maybe even her left hip more forward. Let's add the lines. Starting to get the picture? Where should her load joints fall? Where do they fall? Do you see a difference between the left and the right? What stands out most to you? Even though she has imbalances, she might have an anterior tilt that dominates. But again, the photos will tell. But what scenario would determine her posture? What routine would you choose for her? What stands out? Even without the side shots, can you see how imbalanced this posture is? Can you see a dominant rotation? Which side is presenting closer to you? Even the definition of the muscles in his chest are different from right to left. Let's add lines. Do you see the head tilt? Where should his hands fall? Where do they fall? It can't be completely confirmed without side shots, but his posture is probably an anterior tilt. However, his imbalance is much more dominant. So what posture is he? This is getting easier, isn't it? What stands out? Remember the human design blueprint. What should line up, and how does it line up? Let's see the lines. Did you spot it before the lines? She might have fairly straight feet, but look at her knees. The center line isn't crooked, she's leaning left. My guess is when she does the functional tests, which I'll show you later, she'd pick up her right leg first. Without a side photo to confirm, it's a little hard to say, but my guess is she'd display a posterior tilt. But she'd benefit from a posture C routine or even a B. What stands out? You're probably a whiz at this right now and don't even need to pause. Feet are reverted, knees outwardly rotated, even one shoulder looks higher. His head is looking right, but his eyes are forward. Even one of his feet is further forward than the other. From the side, he probably displays a rotation, with his left hip and left shoulder coming forward. So what posture would he be? Let's add the lines. Do you see it? He'd do well with a posture B routine. Here's a rear shot What jumps out? Even though you might see the right to left imbalance, from the side she probably shows a big anterior tilt, which could be more dominant. What routine would you choose for her in that scenario? Either routine would suit her and be beneficial, posture A or posture B. Here's a good one. You might not even need lines to see. This one is so obvious. You're learning quickly. If we saw him from the side, he'd probably have an anterior tilt, yes, but what jumps out more? Which arm is further forward? Which direction is he leaning? What leg is further forward? What posture is he? Here's the lines. It's just that simple. Home stretch. What jumps out? Let's add the lines. Did you catch it? Whether or not he is a posterior posture C or anterior posture A, I'd go with a posture B routine because he is so imbalanced. The last two postures I won't walk you through. What do you see and what postures are they? How did you do? Did you guess that the sketch of the woman would be a posture B and the man walking away from you would be a posture C? Now that you've gotten a better handle on posture assessment, you'll know what to look for in your photos when you take them initially and towards the end of the program. You'll be able to see the changes in your alignment and track your progress. Nothing is more fulfilling than feeling different, then having the visual proof to back it up. We'll go over how to take your photos properly in the next video, but for now, remember these tips for your assessment process. Try not to nitpick over the tiniest detail. It will suck you in and you'll get lost. Stay general and look for the dominant discrepancy. First big thing that jumps out at you. A friend or a family member can give you their helpful input as a second pair of eyes. Remember the personality traits that I described? Do any of those resonate with you? Last but not least, there is a dedicated Pick Your Posture Facebook group for questions and support. The link is in your email.